Yeah, and bam, we got our ability back up. Isn't that amazing? And with that scene, welcome dirty people of the internet. I'm DirtyHotte and I'm bringing you another Destiny 2 Warlock build from Mom's basement today. As you all might know, right now abilities are meta in the Crucible, and that's exactly what this build is all about. Giving you back your abilities ASAP. Having freezes ready when you need them. How does that sound? I think that sounds amazing. Stay with me as we go over the subclass and exotic armor we're gonna use as core for this build, and add all the nasty stuff that makes this build even more crazy. Stuff like guns, mods and the right stats. As always, if you're interested in discussing builds, loadouts, or see me playing different games, I like to invite you over to Mom's Basement, from where I stream every Tuesday and Thursday. You'll find the link in the description and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. With all that said, dirty people, let's start with the build, shall we? First we have a look at the subclass I'm using. For this build we will be running Shadebinder, Warlock Stasis subclass. So this build relies heavily on Penumbral Blast, the ranged freezing melee ability. This ability is essential for this build as we will use it to stop anybody who is getting too close to us. Second one, the grenade option we will be using for this build is Cold Snap. The main reason for that is that we want its freeze to proc our damage buff of one of the fragments we're gonna use. So let's go over the fragments. So the first one is Whisper of Hedrons. This fragment gives a weapon damage buff every time we freeze another guardian. Mind you, you just have to freeze him, not kill him to get the buff. So freeze somebody with a Cold Snap nade right around the corner and the buff procs. Nasty, I tell you. The second fragment is Whisper of Durance, which we are using to counter Hedron's penalty to strength. The third one is Whisper of Fissures, which comes in handy when enemies are close to each other in the Crucible, because the shatter damage might also damage them or kill him. And the fourth and last one is Whisper of Shards. I use it for the free +10 resilience, as the grenade cooldown buff won't really work with this build, as you have to shatter crystals and not killing frozen targets. So killing frozen targets doesn't count. With all the fragments done, I have to admit that Whisper of Bonds might be the better option, as you will kill frozen targets a lot, but for now I don't really have the gear to get decent stats for that fragment. So for now I'm running Whisper of Shards. I know it's a shame, but I will try that sometime later for sure. Okay folks, guess we don't need to talk about aspects, because they are pretty clear and you got no choice whatsoever with them. I'd say we got everything covered regarding the subclass. If I missed something or you got some feedback on the fragments, let me know in the comments below, folks. So as I said, this build is relying heavily on abilities. So with the subclass down, let's move on with the exotic armor we will be using for this build, and this, folks, is essential. So attention please. As said, abilities are a huge part of the Crucible right now, and stasis cooldowns are longer than the old ones. So our top priority with this build is to get them cooldowns lower, folks. And for that, dirty folks, we gonna use the Eye of Another World exotic. Its perk Cerebral Uplink says it highlights priority targets, which we don't care about, and improves the regeneration speed of your grenade, melee and rift abilities. Yeah, I admit I was a bit skeptical at first at this exotic, so I did some quick testing, and let me tell you, the cooldown reduction is huge. And the reduction is not all. It will also reduce the cooldown for abilities where your stats are already maxed out. So I got two examples for you. I'm running 100 strength for this build, and without Eye of Another World my melee cooldown is 43 seconds. With Eye of Another World we bring it down to only 35 seconds, folks. This is nearly a 20% decrease, which is pretty amazing if you ask me. And in contrast to other exotics, it works for all your abilities. So let's see another one. Let's see my grenade cooldown. With 50 discipline, the cooldown sits at 1 minute 33 seconds without Eye of Another World. Now we're looking at with Eye of Another World, we are at a cooldown of 1 minute and 4 seconds instead. Which again is a lot and equals having like 80 discipline instead of the 50 I am running. So that's an increase by 3 tiers, ladies and gentlemen. 3 tiers. Especially with the longer stasis cooldowns, this is really amazing, people. So let's have just a quick look at my stats. With what we just discovered, you could say that Eye of Another World adds up to 3 tiers in addition to those stats relate to abilities. Even, yes, even if you have them at max tier already, like seen with the 100 strength. Folks, that's damn beautiful, I'd say, and a nice starting point, because we gonna get those abilities back even quicker. How, you ask? With the exotic weapon we are using in addition to Eye of Another World. And I'm talking about the Traveler's Chosen, the exotic sidearm which offers the perk Gathering Light. This perk grants stacks of Gathering Light on final blows with this weapon, and consuming those stacks grants melee, grenade and class ability energy based on the number of stacks. This is huge, folks, especially regarding the longer stasis cooldowns again. Let me show you how this is looking in action. Get killed, consume the stacks, and boom, ability up again. And another one. Boom, up again and ready to roll. This is really insane, people. I admit it takes some time to get used to that gun and how to engage with it, but once you understand it, you will be slaying in the Crucible big time. I promised, and Mom promises as well, right? Yeah, she's nodding. So I'd say all we've seen until now is really great, you dirty folks, and now we got the basics down. So let's talk about some solid weapon choices to go with these exotics. With sun setting, it's actually not that easy to find good options for the energy slot, as I was looking for primaries and not specials like sniper or shotgun. I also don't raid, so these options aren't available as well. That might be good for us casual folks, because I said it's not easy, but there are options, depending on your playstyle. So option number one is the Stars and Shadow. This one I'm using here as Surplus, which makes this thing a laser when all your abilities are up. And the way I like to use it, they will be up most of the time when I'm engaging from range. Comes with Kill Clip as a secondary perk, and it's also pretty amazing, especially in sixes. I mean, get one kill, reload, and you get a nice little damage buff. I like to play with this build, and Stars and Shadow is more defensive and controlled, so to say. So most of the time I'm engaging from range, and if somebody gets close or there's an opportunity to collapse on an enemy team, it's time for Traveler's Chosen and my abilities. But I have to admit, sometimes I feel it's lacking a little bit at shorter ranges, right before Traveler's Chosen is a valid option. And I know you dirty folks, you're kind of aggressive. So here comes option number two for those of you who are more aggressive folks. The Gnawing Hunger. Last season this setup would have been totally OP and broken. But after the nerfs, Gnawing Hunger is still valid though for that loadout. Just be careful who you challenge at which range. Specifically for this build I'm using one with Demolitionist to help even more with my grenade cooldown. And I gotta say, if you manage to freeze somebody mid-range and your Seekers freeze some more, it will get ugly for the opposing team. It will get really ugly. I've seen that a few times. It's not pretty. It's really not pretty. So with those two options shown, I'd say both are solid options. Nothing totally crazy, but solid. Man, would I love a 120 hand cannon in that slot. But yeah, we don't have one in the slot right now. Maybe next season, folks. Maybe next season. So to summarize my two weapon choices, quick and clean, I'd say Stars and Shadow is more for the ranged and defensive and controlled people. And Gnawing Hunger is more for you aggressive folks. Map might also play a role. Which one would you prefer, people? Do you know additional options that might shine with this build that I just forget or don't know about? If you do, please let me know in the comments below. Okay, fellow Guardians, this is it. This is my Iceman Stasis Chain Freezing no cooldown build. I'd say give it a try, have some fun in the Crucible and give me some feedback in the comment below. It's me folks, DirtyHotte with a little request. If you liked what you have been seeing and want to see more stuff coming to you from Mom's Basement, make sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell and comment below. To stay updated, follow me on Twitter or just drop in one of my streams over at twitch.tv where I'm live every Tuesday and Thursday. Stay dirty people, DirtyHotte out.